Okay, we are live. I apologize. There were internet issues. My internet kept trying to claim it wasn't there, but it is. And now I'm wondering why my camera is not focusing. Okay, that's annoying. Hold on a minute. So good morning, everyone. I am in Korea, actually. I'm trying to figure out why my camera is refusing to focus. Anyway, so here we are here this morning to discuss how to get dancing at live events. And I'm really frustrated that my camera is not focusing. That is highly annoying. We are here to discuss how to get dancing at medievalist events, what what tricks and tips I have, and also to answer any questions you may have about your own experiences running medieval dance. And let's say something. Nope. I don't know why it's not focusing. I'm sorry, guys. Technology is sometimes not my friend. So here's the deal. I've been in pursuing medievalism for, what year is it? 27 years now. Actually, almost to the day 27 years was my first medievalist event back in Delaware with the Society for Creative Anachronism. And I came with very wrong impression about what that would be. Because I'd been reading primary medieval sources most of my whole life, Arthurian romances, chronicles from the era. I had a very unusual raising as a child. So when I came to the SCA at the age of 14, I was expecting everyone to stay in persona and that there would be live music and dancing as I'd read about it, all of the great tournaments and feasts from the Middle Ages. And none of that happened. There was none of that. It was a fun event, but it was not that. And it wasn't until my second or third event that I actually got to try out medieval dancing, or I thought it was medieval dancing. It turned out it mostly wasn't, but that's another subject. And then I fell in love because to me, that was it. A feast with dancing, tournament during the day, a feast with dancing in the evening. That was the quintessential medieval social experience. But I lived in Lower Slower, Delaware, and there was no one near me. The nearest members to me were an hour away. And I wanted to learn to dance, and no one in my shire knew how to dance. And this was back in the days when the internet was nothing but chat rooms and, forgive me, but porn. There were no real resources on the internet yet, or at least I wasn't aware of any. So I had to buy some books and some tapes, cassette tapes, my God, and teach myself how to dance. And then I started discovering primary resources in university libraries and reconstructing dance myself from transcriptions of original sources. And fast forward to now, I have 27 years of experience of trying to convince other people to dance with me because dancing alone is just sad. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat as we move along, and I will address them. I'm going to say that one of the big issues we have these days when it comes to getting dance at events is age, at least when it comes to a group like the Society for Creative Anachronism. And I've seen what we call the aging of the hobby in other organizations as well. And it's the fact that when I started out at the age of 14, 27 years ago, the average age of the society was about 25, and there were lots of young people. And yeah, when you were my age, we had to send email with a long path address. That's awesome. And so one of the issues that you're facing is that people now either have children and they're not going to stay late at events, or they're a lot more mature and their bodies can't actually tolerate dance anymore, or they can't tolerate vigorous dancing. So there's a lot of physical issues you may have to contend with now that weren't as much of weren't as prevalent of a feature of the society or medievalist organizations back in the mid 90s. But there are ways around that. So let's talk about and when you wanted to contact the crown, you had to send a letter. Yeah, right. So let's talk about the other issue. Also, there's a third issue, and that's that there's actually an anti-dance sentiment that one tends to find in places, and it's really odd, but there it is. And that anti-dance sentiment springs up because basically, dance was an integral part of Western culture, social dance, up until the 50s. And then the 60s came along and there was this big cultural revolution and all of that got tossed out. So whereas everyone used to learn the basic ballroom dances, or they learned swing dance, or if, whatever social dances were native to their land. Before that is just part of being part of society. After that, after the 60s, that all died and went away. And there arose this idea that dancing wasn't something, at least in something I've encountered frequently, is the idea that dancing isn't, for example, manly. It's something that women may do, but it's not something that men do. And so you've got that issue. And then there are some people who think, well, court dances aren't fun. I want to do peasant dances. Okay, fair enough. So let's talk about this one by one. First issue is, of course, the time problem of time at events, especially when it comes to day events. At day events these days, a lot of people don't stay much past the afternoon. They may stay for a feast if there is a feast, but they're not going to stay past feast. And so if you've scheduled dancing to happen after feast, there's not going to be anyone around really to join you. So there are two approaches to that issue. And one of them is to actually schedule an afternoon ball. And I've done this a lot at events. And it actually proves to be very popular at events where there isn't fighting during the day. So, for example, winter events, do an afternoon ball when everyone is still there and everyone is having a good time. And it provides a way for people to socialize and meet new people who might otherwise not get to do so. And I'm thinking of just undoing my ZV-1 and going to the webcam because I don't know why my ZV-1 is refusing to focus, but it is.